In the world of innovation and relentless ambition, few stories shine as brightly as that of Steve Jobs. Born on February 24, 1955, in San Francisco, California, to Joanne Skeebel and Abdel Fattah Jandali, a young couple who couldn't keep him due to family pressures, Steve was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs, a working-class couple from Mountain View. Paul, a machinist, and Clara, an accountant, poured their love into him, instilling values of hard work and curiosity that would shape his future. Growing up in the heart of Silicon Valley during the dawn of the personal computer revolution, young Steve was a tinkerer at heart. He and his father would spend weekends in the garage, building wooden electronics kits and fences, where Paul taught him the beauty of craftsmanship attention to detail that later defined Apple's products. But Steve was no ordinary kid. He was restless, questioning everything, and often felt like an outsider. At Homestead High School, he befriended Steve Wozniak, a brilliant engineer 5 years his senior, over pranks and a shared love for electronics. Together, they built a blue box that hacked into phone lines for free calls, a teenage rebellion that hinted at Jobs' future blend of mischief and genius. As a young adult, Jobs' path was anything but straight. He dropped out of Reed College after 6 months in 1972, not because he lacked smarts he had skipped, grades and tested with genius level IQ, but because the tuition drained his adoptive parents' savings, and he couldn't see the point in formal education. Instead, he audited classes that fascinated him, like calligraphy, which would later influence Apple's elegant typography. Hitchhiking through India in 1974, he sought spiritual enlightenment, adopting a Buddhist mindset that emphasized intuition over logic, simplicity over complexity. Back home, he reunited with Wozniak at Hewlett-Packard, where Woz was designing calculators. Their partnership ignited when Woz built the Apple I, a clunky circuit board sold for $666.66. Jobs chose the price for its mystical vibe. In 1976, at just 21, Jobs convinced was to co-found Apple Computer in his parents' garage. With $1,300 scraped from selling Jobs' VW bus and Woz's calculator, they launched the Apple I-2 hobbyists. It was a hit in the Bay Area's homebrew computer club, where tech enthusiasts gathered, but success was fragile. They hand-assembled machines, sleeping on the floor amid shipping boxes, scraping by on ramen noodles and dreams. Apple's breakthrough came with the Apple II in 1977, fully assembled computer with color graphics that revolutionized personal computing. Jobs, the visionary marketer, dressed it up in a sleek plastic case, turning a geeky gadget into a household icon. Sales exploded from $7.8 million in 1978 to over $150 million by 1980. At 25, Jobs became a millionaire when Apple went public, his stake worth $256 million. The garage startup was now a Silicon Valley powerhouse, employing hundreds and challenging giants like IBM. Jobs' charisma drew investors like Mike Markula, who mentored him on business basics. Yet beneath the glamour, Jobs was a tyrant in the making, demanding perfection, berating employees, and fostering a cult-like culture. He believed in reality distortion fields, his term for bending reality through sheer will, pushing teams to impossible deadlines. The Macintosh, unveiled in 1984, with its iconic Super Bowl ad directed by Ridley Scott, promised a bicycle for the mind, user-friendly computing for the masses. It had a graphical interface inspired by Xerox PARC, but Jobs made it magical, with a mouse and fonts that sang. Initial sales soared, but bugs and high prices led to a slump, mirroring the cracks in Jobs' leadership. By 1985, the bad times hit like a freight train. Amid the wreckage, serendipity struck in 1986 when Jobs bought the graphics group from Lucasfilm for $10 million, renaming it Pixar. What started as a hardware side project for high-end rendering exploded. When it pivoted to animation, Toy Story in 1995, the first fully computer-animated feature, grossed $373 million and won an Oscar. Jobs, initially hands-off, became Pixar's cheerleader, negotiating a distribution deal with Disney that made him a major shareholder. But the 90s were lean. Jobs lived frugally in Palo Alto, dating Lorene Powell, whom he married in a simple backyard ceremony in 1991, their first child. Reed arrived in 1991, followed by Aaron and Eve. Fatherhood softened him slightly, but struggles persisted. Next teetered. By 1996, it was sold to Apple for $429 million, bringing Jobs back as an advisor. Pixar, though, was his Phoenix deals with Disney, turned it into a storytelling empire, with hits like A Bug's Life and Monsters, Inc. Yet, even as Pixar's valuation soared to $7 billion by 2006, Jobs battled personal demons. Diagnosed with a rare pancreatic cancer in 2003, he opted for alternative treatments like acupuncture and vegan diets, delaying surgery until it was dire. The disease mirrored his life's volatility, unpredictable, invasive, a reminder of mortality that fueled his drive. The ultimate comeback began in 1997 when Apple, floundering under Gil Amelio with $1 billion losses, begged Jobs to return full-time. He slashed products from dozens to 4, fired half the staff, and infused the company with Next software. As interim CEO ICO, he wore a black turtleneck uniform, echoing his minimalist ethos. The iMac G3 launched in 1998, a translucent, all-in-one computer that sold 800,000 units in 5 months, saving Apple from ruin. Jobs' design obsession shone. "It looks like it's from the future," he quipped. Profits rebounded. By 2000, he dropped the interim, becoming permanent CEO, but wealth wasn't instant. Jobs' net worth dipped during the wilderness years, hovering around $100 million from Pixar stock. True riches came with the digital revolution. In 2001, the iPod dropped a 5 GB pocket jukebox syncing 1,000 songs via FireWire, priced at $399. 1,000 songs in your pocket, the ad proclaimed. It wasn't just hardware. iTunes Store launched in 2003, legitimizing digital music and capturing 70% market share. Apple's revenue jumped from $5 billion in 2001 to $65 billion by 2010. Jobs, now a billionaire multiple times over, saw his Pixar stake sold to Disney for $7.4 billion in stock, making him Disney's largest shareholder, worth $4 billion alone. The iPhone in 2007 redefined everything. Unveiled at Macworld with Jobs' signature "One More Thing," it merged phone, iPod, and internet communicator into a multi-touch glass slab. No physical keyboard, no stylus, just fingers on sapphire crystal. Developed in secrecy under codename Purple 2, it overcame AT&T's resistance and Jobs' paranoia about leaks. Launch day lines snaked around blocks. 6 million sold in year 1. Critics called it a toy, but it birthed the smartphone era, turning Apple into the world's most valuable company. By 2011, iPhone revenue alone hit $19 billion quarterly. Jobs' fortune ballooned to $7 billion, though he lived ascetically, no yachts, just a modest home and private jets for medical trips. The iPad in 2010 followed, a tablet that reshaped media consumption, selling 300,000 units opening weekend. Each launch was theater. Jobs on stage, pacing, demoing with boyish glee, distorting reality again. Behind the scenes, struggles lingered: lawsuits with Samsung over patents, boardroom battles, and his cancer's toll. He resigned as CEO in August 2011, handing reins to Tim Cook, dying October 5th at 56 from respiratory arrest tied to the neuroendocrine tumor. Steve Jobs' journey from garage hacker to trillion-dollar icon is a masterclass in resilience. He failed spectacularly, fired at 30. Next's flop costing $250 million. Pixar's near Mice's butt, each setback honed him. Getting booted from Apple forced reinvention. Next Tech became macOS's backbone, powering the iPhone revolution. Pixar's alchemy turned code into gold, funding his return. His struggles weren't just professional. A strained relationship with biological sister Mona Simpson revealed latent life, and regrets over absent fatherhood early on humanized him. Jobs wasn't a saint. Stories of his cruelty, it's like denying paternity of daughter Lisa until a court order, or abusing staff with your shit tirades, paint a complex tyrant. Yet his obsession with the intersection of technology and liberal arts birthed products that democratized creativity. The iPhone didn't just make calls, it connected humanity, spawning apps that changed lives from Uber to Instagram. By his death, Apple's market cap hit $350 billion, now over $3 trillion, with Jobs' estate worth $10 billion. What made Jobs rich? Not luck, but an unyielding vision fused with timing. He bet on beauty in an ugly world: curved edges, intuitive interfaces, when rivals chased specs. He mastered storytelling, turning launches into events that sold desire, not features. Partnerships amplified him. Was his engineering, Ivy's design, Cook's operations, and failure, it was his forge. After Next Ashes, he said, "I am convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did." That love propelled him from $1,000 seed to billionaire, proving struggle is the seedbed of empire. For dreamers in garages today, Jobs whispers, iterate, simplify, dent the universe. His bad times, illness, doubt weren't endings, but plot twists in a saga of defiance. In the end, Steve Jobs didn't just build Apple. He rebuilt himself, time and again. From the ashes of 1985, he rose not once, but through Pixar's whimsy, Next's elegance, and Apple's renaissance. His wealth amassed quietly, stock options vesting $2 billion was secondary to legacy. He revolutionized music, phones, computing, animation, proving one person's insanely great idea can reshape reality. As he lay dying, Jobs told his biographer Walter Isaacson, "I reached the pinnacle of success in business, but I realized my life was empty. I have everything, but I have nothing." Yet, in that emptiness, he found purpose, urging us to stay hungry, stay foolish. For the Rich World Channel, this is the blueprint. Embrace the struggle, for it's the fire that gilds the dream. Jobs didn't become rich by accident. He earned it through falls and flights, a reminder that true wealth is forged in the crucible of failure.